Good morning and welcome to FlossTube number 41. Today is July 20th, 2020, and it's been 4 months since I last spoke with you guys, and I have missed you. But as with almost all people in the United States, around the middle of March, my life blew up just a little bit. I'm doing well. All of my loved ones are currently doing well, but that's not to say it hasn't been scary and difficult and anxiety producing and all of that. And frankly, FlossTube is just, although I appreciate everybody who's continued to make videos, it's just not been something I've been able to prioritize. So I'm back, and hopefully I will continue to be back and you won't have any more 4-month gaps, but I don't make any guarantees of that. Right now I just have to prioritize taking care of myself physically and mentally, and looking after those closest to me, and just kind of functioning in the world as best I can. And I'm sure just about everybody can understand that right now. So I am doing well personally. My husband is working from home, which is great. He's kept his job. We don't believe we're going to have any issues with that, and we're doing well financially, and we feel like we're relatively safe physically. And the same goes for our son, whose life is really in flux right now. As a first-year college student last year, he's now no longer in college. He has no intention of going back to college in the fall, because he really wants, like, when he pays for college, and I completely support him in this, when we all pay for college, he wants to know what he's getting. And right now, nobody knows what they're getting. So, and this is a fine time, I think, for a young adult to not to take a gap year, and we are able to support him as much as he needs financially and otherwise. And so he did come and visit us for a while, which also delayed my coming back to you guys, because I was really focusing on him being here with us. He came and visited us for several weeks, for about a month. But now he is back. He is back in Boise, in his independent adult-ish life, and he's happy to be there. And so we're all feeling cautiously optimistic that he's going to be safe, and we're going to be safe. And most of the people really close to us have relatively safe environments, and so we're doing okay. But it doesn't matter, even though we're relatively safe. I heard something. We're all in the same storm, but we're all in different boats. And we're not all in the same boat. At the beginning of this, I kept hearing, we're all in the same boat here. Everybody's being affected, but we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. But my boat is very sturdy at the moment, and seems very like even if my husband and I both lost our jobs, we'd be okay for a good chunk of time. And so, we're and we feel relatively safe, like physically, etc., health-wise. So, our boat is like maybe not a luxury yacht, but it's like really sturdy. So we're feeling good personally. But nevertheless, it's a stressful time for anybody, no matter what your situation. You have the right to be a little overwhelmed and anxious and depressed and stressed out. Everybody has the right to those feelings, even if they're sitting in a relatively privileged spot, like we are, like I am. So anyway, so I'm just trying to deal with it all the best I can, just like everybody else is. So I probably should have said this 5 minutes ago. But if you just came here for the stitching, you could try fast forwarding a little until you see me holding something up, and then you might be safe. But I there's no guarantees. One of the other things that kept me from coming back to FlossTube for a while is not just COVID-19, but the larger state of the world and our country in terms of racism and human rights issues and things like that, which I do not believe are politics, and I think it's important for everybody to talk about those things. I think we all have a responsibility to talk about those things, particularly those of us who are in a relatively privileged position. And I didn't know how, and I still don't really know how to talk about those things. I'm not very eloquent and articulate about this stuff. And so, although I believe that I have the right and should say anything I wish to say on these videos, stitching or related or not, I don't feel like I'm always the best person to talk about this stuff. And so I keep that stuff kind of light, just because I don't feel like I'm the best person to speak on these issues. But that being said, if you're a person who in April and May thought that, you know, wearing a mask was fear-mongering, and come June, your response to George Floyd's death was, well, he wasn't that great of a guy anyway, and all lives matter, then you've probably come to the wrong place. So, I'm not going to beat you over the head with my opinions on that stuff, but at the same time, I just absolutely make no guarantees that that you're going to be 100% comfortable here. So, that's enough of that for the moment. Towards the end of my video, I will talk about books, and so this topic will come up again a little bit. But for now, let's talk about the stitching. So I'm going to, a lot has happened in stitching and otherwise in the last 4 months. My way of dealing with this time has been to basically spoil myself, and like there's no more rules, and I just do what I want, and at least within reason. And so like I've let go of like WhipGo, let go of all my plans. I'm starting what I want. I still have kept my number of whips down under 50, which is good. I think I'm at 49. I have finished several things. I've stitched on a bunch of stuff. I've started a few things. I've bought a few things. There are times when I'm not stitching at all. If I want to crochet or read, I'm doing that instead. You know, I'm just kind of taking care of myself in the moment, and doing what I want to make myself feel good and safe in the moment. And at some point, I think I need to come out of that a little bit, because this is no longer seeming like it's going to be a super short-term situation. So that's one of the reasons I'm back at FlossTube, because I want to try to like kind of get back on, not on the wagon, but like back on track, I guess, you know, where I'm doing the thing, where I'm making plans and doing things I want to do, and being more thoughtful about stuff, and not just like doing whatever I want feels good in the moment, whether it's fast food or starting all the things, or buying all the things, or watching all the TV. You know, I'd like to feel like a productive, thoughtful person, and that's good for the mental health too. But nevertheless, I completely gave up on WhipGo, and all of my rules and plans just sort of floated away, and that's okay too. So I'm going to show a select amount of haul. I have bought quite a few things during this time, but most of them are tucked away somewhere, because I wasn't really prioritizing thinking about setting things aside to show on these videos. And so like I've got a bunch of floss from Through All Threads. I'm doing the Threadworks, and I'm not going to show all that because I tucked it all away, and I don't even know that I have a record really of which ones I have gotten over the last few months. And but I did want to show a handful of things that I bought. I've done a fair amount of buying on things like Stash Unload, and no, not Stash Unload. They kicked me out a long time ago. stash unloading, cross stitch only, whatever it's called. And I bought a handful of things on eBay, and I bought some fabric and stuff like that, but I can't show it all to you because basically I don't know where it all is. It's tucked away, but I am going to show you a few things. So, and then I have happily several finishes. I think I have 5 finishes, a couple of starts. So I have been productive, and I even have a couple of crochet things to show to those of you who are interested. So the first thing I want to show you is this fabric I got. You can't get it yourself because it is a solo dye. Laura at the Slovak farm. This comes from her, I believe. Please tell me I'm right about that. Yes, I'm right about that. It's a solo dye, but it's 28 count Monaco, and it's destined for something Halloweeny for sure. So Laura's a very nice lady, and she does beautiful work, and this is gonna be, it's primarily orange, but there's flecks of brown in it, maybe a little gray or green. Anyway, I don't know what all's in it, and I don't think she even knows what all's in it, but this would be great for something Halloweeny for sure. It's getting something Halloweeny on it. So I got that. I got, I love the Sweetheart Tree. I've done 2 of these Sweetheart Tree kits. I did W is for Witch and I is for Ivy. And this is, S is for stitching and sewing. And I got this for a very good price. The general retail price on these is usually about $25, and I got it for less than that. So I snatched that up when I saw it. Let's see, what else? I got, oh yeah, I've long been interested in these ginger and spice samplers from different parts of the country, etc. So I got 3 of them. Great Plains, and the Rockies in the Northwest, which is Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, and Colorado. Apparently Alaska doesn't count. And California. And I got this one, the Rockies in the Northwest, because my son lives in Idaho. I've lived in Washington. We're talking about living in Oregon one of these days. So it's a place that has some interest to me. The Great Plains one I just really got because I just like the imagery in it. And then this one I got because I was born and raised in California. And there's a lot in here that is memorable to me, like that right there, that hotel. I've been to that hotel. I believe that's the Hotel del Coronado. There's a lot here that speaks to me as a California native. I also got the Mercantile Little House chart number 83. Says pots, pans, pins, soap, flour, coffee beans, sugar, shoes, fabric, and elixirs. Post office. 1872. And another Little House Needleworks. Their designs really appeal to me. Excuse me. I have not actually stitched any of them, but I have several, and lots of them appeal to me. This is chart number 122, vanilla and chocolate. I mean, I like food. I like foodie stuff. Oh, and then I actually got a couple of Cricut collections, but I won't bother to show you the other one because I started it, and I'll show it to you when I show you my whips. I got this one, October, by the Cricut collection. I'm just a sucker for all of their word charts. I don't care what it says. I will stitch it. I like all the word charts. Okay, so that is all I'm going to show you in terms of haul. Now, whips and finishes. I usually like to show this stuff in the order in which I did it, and for the life of me, I don't think I can remember any sort of order in which I did things. Although I do think that I remember one thing. In the end of March, the library closed for several weeks, for about 2.5 months, in the middle of March, and I continued working, but I found myself very depressed and anxious, and just, you know, having lots of waves of doom and gloom feelings and stuff like that. So anyway, that was when I was like, I'm gonna do what I want. Where WIPCO went out the window, and all the plans went out the window, and I just was like, screw it, I'm gonna do what I want. And I do know that the first thing I started during that time, for a few days I didn't stitch at all. I think I did nothing but play stupid video games on my phone and watch TV. But when I eventually got to where I didn't want to just be a lump on a log, I got out a new start. I got out this Dimensions kit to start, and I worked a few days on it, and I started with this one, Mary. And that's where I got, oh, let's see here. These are see-through, so I don't mind working on the plastic canvas. I kind of like it. So that's the start. And I worked a couple of days on it, maybe 3 days, and then I started something else because I was doing what I wanted. Or maybe I went back to video games. I don't know. Oops, I didn't put the threads back. But I'm liking this. I like Dimensions kits, mostly. And I really like the plastic canvas ornaments. So let's see, other things I worked on. I'll show you things I worked on, and then I will show you finishes. So at some point, I got out my Jupiter's moon, and let's see, do I have a cover for this? Because rather than, I'm going to try to minimize the editing for this video. I should have, yes, okay. So here's what it'll look like when it's finished. Black and white picture, but that's all I got. Years ago, this was a freebie from Heaven and Earth Designs, so I snatched it up at that point. And here's a picture of where it was when last you saw it. I did make a respectable amount of progress on it. I love every minute of working on this piece. It's, as I've said before, it's something I will never finish probably, but it's very relaxing to me. And in fact, I'm enjoying it so much that my other big full coverage Heaven and Earth style, it's not Heaven and Earth design, I think I'm going to start over and use the same method. I'm doing this 22 count full cross. I'm using blitz stitches, diagonal parking method, and I really love it. And here is where I am now. So, you know, like, you can't really see a picture forming, but there is something that's just so relaxing about doing this piece. It's very meditative, and I just love working on it. It makes me feel just really relaxed while I'm working on it. And I don't feel that way about my other full coverage. Granted, I made a big mistake on my other full coverage piece that I had to rip out, and that might be why I feel that way. But I think I'm going to restart that. It's not too late. I haven't done that much of it. Restart it on 22 count, doing 1/1 full cross, because that's when I'm doing 25 count, maybe 1/1 half stitch, and which should be faster, but I'm just not finding it anywhere near as enjoyable. So I think I'm going to start it over on that. because I'm just loving that. Okay, so then, oh no, that's a new start and a finish, so I won't bother to show you any of the new starts that I also finished because I will show you those during finishes. So another new start I recently got with this at the same-ish time as I got the October, I got the Cricut Collection March. And I started it, and I found some fabric on eBay. I think, doesn't matter. I think it was actually on Stash Unloading. And here is my start. I got the M in, and well, mostly I got all of the letter M in, and I got the lion in. Let me fold this. I got the lion in, and there's a couple of flowers around the M that I did not get in, but I got the regular part of the letter. Oh, and importantly, I am using a Threadworks. I've forgotten the number, but the Threadworks I am using for the letter. This is not what is called for. The letters are done in 2 shades of DMC to make stripes, and I didn't love the look of them, and also that seemed more laborious, and I realized in looking through my Threadworks floss that I had a let's see if you can see it very well. I had that's the length of the Threadworks floss. They come pre-cut. I had a Threadworks called Soft Peach. Threadworks you can look up by either number or color, and these colors, the dark and the light, corresponded pretty closely to the 2 different shades that were used in the letters, and so that is what I'm using. So that's why my letters look different, and I really like them. I think they're going to look great. So Soft Peach. I believe it's Soft Peach, not Soft Peaches, but Soft Peach is what I'm using for the letters. Everything else is the called for DMCs. Don't think this calls for anything other than just DMC, which is nice because some of the Cricut Collection stuff does call for significant amounts of Krynic, etc. So then I put in a little bit of work on, not then, there is no order. I also, at some point during the last 4 months, got out my Halloween Hawk Run Hollow. In an effort to minimize the pictures I'm showing you, I won't show you where I was when last you saw it. I simply describe it to you. When last we spoke about this project, I had already had this middle done, and I'd had a significant start on the first block. I had the graveyard done, and I had a start on the house, and I had the skeleton done. So I went ahead and did the bulk of the house, and the bats, and the ghosties, and the French knots, and the moon, and those friggin' spider webs that are a pain in the ass, and all the lettering. This is in the called for NPIs. I am using 40 count ale, which even if I do say so myself, is like the perfect fabric for this project. It's just a great fabric for this project. In my humble opinion, much better than the called for fabric. Yeah, I love this project. I just love it. I could work more on it, but other things were calling to me. So Fortunately, my stitchy bug is pretty strong right now. Even though I'm doing some other things, my stitchy bug is pretty strong right now. I'm wanting to stitch on a lot of things. I want to start things, but I'm also happily, some of my older whips are calling quite strongly to me. So, I also, and this I worked on over the last few days, I worked on The Underwater Kingdom by Reolus. Here it is. I'm also not going to show you a picture of where I was when last you saw it, because I did probably 1,500 or more stitches on it, would be my guess. I used to be really into counting, and I want to still really be into counting, but it's with my heightened stress level, my concentration is a little bit low, and I am actually finding that I'm having trouble counting. Not counting like, okay, I need 15 in that row or whatever, but like, did I stitch 200 stitches today or did I stitch 300? I can't remember. You know, which never used to be a struggle for me. So I think I stitched about 1,500 to 2,000 stitches on this in a few days. But it's all filling in at this point. I stitched pretty much just blues. I filled in a significant amount of in here, and plus put in a little bit of, in the name of finishing off the current thread I had out, in a couple of other meaningless spots. But I just filled in the detail. Oh, so gorgeous. And one of the reasons I wanted to stitch on this one was because my son just recently ended his visit to us, went back to Boise. I can't remember if I told you, I have started and stopped this video so many times, and I literally cannot remember what I've told you and haven't told you. So if I repeat myself, I'm sorry. If I leave things out, I'm sorry. But that's the problem with starting and restarting, is you can't remember what you said. So my son came to visit us for several weeks, and then I had very mixed feelings about him going back. I want him to have his adult independence. I want him to make his own decisions. But I did feel like it was a little bit safer for him here. So that was hard for me for him to leave. But octopuses are something that I don't think he has much attachment to now, but throughout his childhood they meant something to him, and so they mean something to me as a consequence. And so when I'm thinking about him, I really want to stitch this. I worked a lot on this when he was graduating last year from high school, and anyway, yeah, this is just something that I'm stitching and thinking about my son when I'm stitching. So I love that project. Reolist kits are so great. I have a whole video, not a whole video, but a video where I talk about Reolist kits at length. So if you're curious about Reolist kits, I want to say it's video number 8. In the description, it says Reolist in the description, so in the title, I believe. So if you have some heavy-duty curiosity about Reolist kits, go look at that video, because they are really worthwhile kits in my opinion. It's good to know what you're getting into with them for a variety of reasons, but they are really worthwhile kits. Okay, so now finishes. First off, I have to show you a picture of one of my finishes. Again, no order to this, because I stitched it for my son. It was very fortunate. I stitched it, I got it finished before he got here, and I mailed it off to my friend Laura of the Slovak farm, who did this fabric. She also does finishing work, and I sent her off this thing to finish for my son, and it came back and in time for him to take it with him when he left, and so it is in his possession. So I don't know. I know I have a picture of it of the original finish. I don't know. I'll try if I have. I'll try to show you a picture of the finishing. Oh, I think I do, because I think she sent me a picture of it. So even if I didn't take a picture of it when it was in my possession, I think I have pictures of the finishing work she did. So here are pictures of what I did for my son. As you can see, that is based on the Joker, which my son is a big fan of. So he's actually a really big fan of the latest Joker, and that's not the latest Joker, but nevertheless, he really likes it. So, so I stitched that for him. It was a very quick stitch. I can't remember the name of the designer. Shoot. So if you want to know, if you can't find that pattern and you want to find that pattern, ask me in the comments below, because I can totally look up on my phone, but my phone is being used to film this right now. I can totally look up on my phone what the name of that designer is. So if you have a burning desire to know because you want to stitch it yourself or whatever, just ask me and I can totally respond to that. So then I started and finished a project that, oh, here it is, I've had for a while. And you know, in my moment of I'm going to start what I want, I went ahead and started it. It is called and finished it, Time Enough by Kathy Barrick. It says, there is time enough but none to spare, so use it wisely and with good care. And this is something that has always meant a lot to me. Just that whole philosophy. That is something that I and my husband both really try hard to sort of live by, and you know, just make sure we're doing what we want to with our time. And so it calls for gingerbread, which I totally would have loved to have stitched this on gingerbread, but I didn't currently have any gingerbread on hand, and I really wanted to stitch it right then. I believe this is vintage autumn gold. Again, if you need to know, ask. It's on my Instagram, which is also on this phone, which I can't access right now because I'm filming this video. I believe it is I want to say it's 2 strands, so it would be 36 count, I believe, not 40 count. I would have done it in 1 strand if it was 40 count. I believe that this is 2 strands. You'd think I'd be able to tell. It's either 36 count or 40. I believe it is 36 count vintage autumn gold in 2 strands. And I absolutely love it. It's called for DMC. And I just think that it's a brilliant design in terms of the colors and the way it looks. I just absolutely love it. So there is that. And I want to have that finished relatively soon and display it because I want to be able to see that and remind myself of it. Another thing I finished, this was not a new start, Carla and Leo's Halloween Stitch Along, which runs every year. This year they did Doreen Jones, and you buy whatever pattern you want of a particular designer and stitch it as part of that stitch along. And this one, I did this on, this is, I want to say it is 36 count weeks. I believe it's pumpkin, which of course is appropriate, but I believe that that's what this is, 36 count weeks pumpkin. Again, it's on my Instagram. By the way, I usually try to say this at the beginning of my videos, but I've forgotten. My Instagram account is CMD586. That's CatMotherDog586, and I'm pretty good about posting my progress, and it's mostly stitching that I put on there. So if you want to see more details, go look there. I will show you where I was when last you saw it. And I just went great guns on it and finished it up. It's in the called for including the pain in the ass, light effects, glow in the dark, and neon. The white is glow in the dark. They're, like I said, they're a pain in the ass, but it looks great. And I love it. So, yeah. Just love it. All the Halloween things, you know. Then, well, not then, at some point. Twin Peak Primitives, Pam and Steph mentioned one of their fabric of the week, or not the pattern of the week, where you get a discount for purchasing, and one of these weeks it was Clang Clang Trolley, which is based on Meet Me in St. Louis, the movie with Judy Garland in it, and it's the trolley scene. And I saw it and I was like, oh my God. And I just immediately went and purchased it and started it pretty quickly and then finished it pretty quickly. And this one is actually made, I actually made this for my mother. She's a big Judy Garland fan and she likes old movies. And as I was finishing this, this project, because I hadn't seen the movie since I was a child, I went ahead and watched the movie as I was finishing this project. Anyway, Twin Peak Primitives, all the called for DMCs. It's, I believe, 36 count. It might be 32 count. Natural linen, I believe, is what it is. And I have a big, like I have a half yard of it or something, or had a half yard of it or something. So this was so much fun. I used all of the called for flosses in it. And also another pattern I'd had for a while was By the Bay Needle Art's New England Whaling Waters, stitched on the same fabric as I'm pretty sure that this is 36 count from the way the stitches look. Stitched on the same fabric as the Clang Clang Trolley. And here is my start and finish. Love that whale. This is weird. There's a bunch of French knots in the flowers down below, and usually I'm really good at French knots. There's also a couple of French knots in the bird's eyes. The French knots called for, I don't remember how many strands, but it was like 2 strands from wound. Oh, I've got it here. The instructions on the French knots were something I'd never seen before, but I went ahead and followed them. And I'm leaving them. They look a little weird and irregular, but you know, they're flowers, and flowers are part of nature, and they don't all look the same. So the instructions on the French knots are 2 strands with 3 twists, which is something I've never seen. The seagull's eyes are 1 strand with 2 twists, which seems more normal to me. 2 strands with 3 twists is chaotic. And as you can see, if you look closely at this, those flowers all look crazy. But it doesn't matter. They look beautiful, they look natural, they look weird. It's fine. The other thing I did was I didn't like the white in the pattern. I think it's because of the fabric I chose. It wasn't showing up very well, and I tried, what is it they call for? Did they call for ecru? I think they call for, yes, they call for ecru. And that just didn't show up. And probably because of the fabric I chose to use. And so I tried all the DMC whites, and I just wasn't happy with any of them. So then I got out of Threadworks. I ended up using, I used a few Threadworks on this. It's a good thing I make notes. I ended up using Santa's Beard by Threadworks, and I ended up for all of the white, which I think looks great. It shows up quite nicely in the clouds. And then in the the water was supposed to be 2 colors of DMC, of Weeks Dye Works, which I didn't have. I looked them up, and then just chose, I looked at my DMCs and I was like, eh, and then I chose 2 Threadworks that I don't have any idea. I don't think they're particularly close matches to what is called for when I sort of looked up the 2 Weeks Dye Works, but the 2 Weeks Dye Works also didn't really look like what you see in this picture either. So I just chose what I thought would work, and I chose 2 Threadworks, right? Yes. One in Seafoam and one in Cadet. And the Seafoam, I believe, is the lighter, and the Cadet is the darker for the water. And I think it turned out fabulous. Like I said, I don't know how close it is to the original. I suspect not very close at all, but I like it. So, and I got to use up my Threadworks because hardly any projects call for Threadworks, and so I have to like deliberately find places to use it, which is lots of fun. And that is it for the things I finished. I am going to do a giveaway. So I'm going to give away 2 separate things. You can only win one of them, but you're welcome to request both of them. I'm going to give away both of these patterns. Now, should be noted that on the, I'll cover this up, on this one I made some notes. Shouldn't hinder you at all, but I made some notes for myself about you know, the substitutions I used, which you may appreciate or you may not, but it does, I did make some notes so that I did mark it up. So if you would like to be entered to win the By the Bay needle art, say I would like to stitch the whale, or just include the word whale somewhere in your comment. Sorry, I'm out of practice with this. Be 18 years or older, and don't say giveaway or anything in your comment or you'll get deleted. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. I say that, but shipping, I know that shipping internationally is maybe a little weird right now. I'm willing to do it though, so you know, just bear it in mind. If it doesn't get to you, I'm sorry. But you're welcome to enter if you're wherever you live in the world. So and then I also want to give away this, and if you would like to be entered to win this one, say I would like to stitch the clock. So I just can't come up with any creative questions to answer or whatever right now. So I would like to stitch the whale, or I would like to stitch the clock. I would like to stitch the clock and the whale, whatever. Be a subscriber, don't say giveaway, don't, doesn't matter where you live, be 18 years or older, and you can enter to win those. Go ahead and enter to win both of them, but you'll only win one of them. If I draw one and you win that one, I won't draw you. I always do this the old-fashioned way. I draw out of a cup. I put your names in a cup and draw out. So, you know, your name is being removed from the cup as if you win one, and so you won't win the other. So, so that's it for that. I did want to say reading and crocheting. So if you want to leave me here, that's fine. I have read a good number of books in the last several months. I have not read as much as I wanted to. Reading has been difficult for me when I get high anxiety, which I don't have a lot of anxiety, but you know, I think that everybody's a little bit anxious at this time. But when I get extra anxious and my mind is occupied, it's hard for me to read at all, because I will like read a page or two and I'll be like, what just happened? I went through the motions of reading this, but nothing sunk in. Or Excuse me. I will, the other thing is that I have to be very careful of what I read, because if I read something that has anything that reminds me of our current situation, like the things I am personally worried about, like anything that might have to do with illness or disease or anything, I have to, I can't handle it. So I have to be very careful of what I read right now. So I've read a lot of I haven't read a lot of anything, but most of what I've read has been pretty light. Read some kids' books, read some light mysteries. So most of that isn't really worth sharing that much with you. But I did read, I have to show a picture of this because I read it, actually listened to it on audio download through my library. And so this is what I read. That book is 10 years old. It got quite a bit of attention when it came out 10 years ago, and I chose not to read it because it didn't seem like any fun. And with recent events, I felt like me deciding to pretend that everything was fine was no longer acceptable, and I went ahead and chose that book, and I will be reading more along the same lines. But I went ahead and chose that book to listen to on audio, and I highly recommend the audiobook version. It was read by the author. Currently, there's a 10th anniversary edition out. The book has not been really updated or revised to reflect the events of the last 10 years. However, there is a pretty significant preface in the book which does discuss some of the changes that have happened in our legal system and in our society, our elected officials, some laws, etc., that have been changed since in the last 10 years, and how some of those are good and some of those are not. Those seem good and are not as good as we might think they are on the surface. Like it addresses the increase in like people who are not being incarcerated in prisons but are being incarcerated at home, like on ankle monitors and stuff like that. And why this maybe at first seems like a good thing, but then the author explains why it's not such an improvement. And anyway, this book was a very hard book to read and to listen to, rather. I just listened. It made me upset and angry, and there are many things I already thought I knew, but I didn't know them as much as this book really drove home to me. And I would say, if you are at all open to the idea that maybe things are not as good as you think they are for some people in our society, if you have some opinions about the war on drugs and about policing in our country, and if you're at all open to learning about how maybe it's not as good as you thought it was. I am very fortunate in many ways. Obviously, I'm white, so that's a big leg up no matter what. Look, I have never ever felt afraid when I was pulled over or stopped. I mean, stopped sounds weird. I've never been stopped by a police officer other than in a traffic situation where I was actually at fault. And nevertheless, I have never once been anxious in any way. I have had police officers knock on my door. I've interacted with police officers in many circumstances, and I always have this sense that this person and I are on the same side, that I'm not in any danger. We're working together. there's no adversarial anything, even if in a circumstance where I have committed some minor infraction, you know, like in my car. I have never once felt in any sort of bad feelings about a police officer that I was personally interacting with, and that is not a luxury that everybody has. And you know, if you feel that way, that's great. And I do believe that there are many good police officers out there, but our justice system has some real problems, and this book really drives those home. And there were things I knew that did not surprise me when I listened to this book, but there were things that I did not know or didn't know to the degree that I now know them. It was not an easy book to listen to, but I think it is an important book. And even though it's 10 years old, it still is an important book. And I just would like to challenge you to, not challenge you, I would like you to be willing to challenge what you think you know and listen or read that book, and get the version that's the 10th anniversary edition, because that preface it's easy to dismiss some of the things in the book as being like, oh, well, that's different now. But and the preface of this book addresses those changes and why they are in some cases not bad changes, good changes, but in some cases they're not as good a changes as you think they are. So anyway, so highly recommend that book. And the rest of what I've been reading has been pretty frivolous, so I won't go into any of that this time. Maybe I'll tell you about some more lighthearted books in a future video, which I hope to come back in a couple of weeks. I really do. Oh, I'm not done yet though. If you like crochet at all, I have done a fair amount of crochet in the last 4 months. I have really developed my skills. I keep the crocheting talk to a minimum in this video, but I do know that there are some I have heard from some people who have who enjoy crochet and appreciate that I also enjoy crochet. And so I just want to share when I finish some things, or when I, do something momentous. Oh, and speaking of which, there were just a couple of people who reached out to me in one way or another and said they missed me, asked me to make a video, and I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. It's really nice. Like, I'm never going to be one of the most popular people on FlossTube, and that's fine. I accept that. But I definitely have. It's clear to me that I have some people that get something out of these videos and miss me when I'm gone, and look forward to seeing me and what I have to show and what I have to say. And I really appreciate knowing that. So thank you to those of you who have reached out to me during these last few months and encouraged me to do video again. I do appreciate it. So it's just good to know that even a small handful of people appreciate these videos. So makes it all worthwhile. So I'm finished a few things, a couple of things, and I have a few whips, but I'm not going to show you the whips. I'm just going to show you the things I sort of finished. So I made a couple of shawls. I love this. This is made from an ice yarn. Ice Yarns is a Turkish website that sells yarn. I highly recommend them. You pay not insignificant shipping to get yarn here to the United States or elsewhere in the world, but the prices on the yarn are so good, they make up for it. So this is a triangle shawl. It's all made from sorry, I'm trying to think. I did do this in just one cake of yarn. As you can see, it goes from light blue to dark blue, and it's really quite beautiful. If I had to do it over again, I would make it a little bit bigger. I followed the directions, but it's just a little smaller than I want it to be. So I'd make it a little bit bigger next time. Use 2 cakes of yarn or something like that. But it's very lightweight, summery, something I can wear with a t-shirt to just give me a little bit of extra warmth over my shoulders. It is a free pattern on yarnspirations.com. I used the tutorial that the Crochet Crowd did. It is called the Go-To Shawl, and I used this is a lightweight yarn. This is a two weight yarn from Ice Yarns, and I can't tell you what it is because I just can't remember. Oops. So I did that, finished that, and then I also made what is listed on Yarnspirations as a prayer shawl. Obviously I'm not religious and that doesn't mean anything to me, but that's what it's called. And I again used a tutorial, free pattern. I used a tutorial on from the Crochet Crowd on YouTube. If you're not aware of the Crochet Crowd, you're interested in crocheting and learning to crochet, the Crochet Crowd is a great channel. So this, I did use 2 cakes of this. This is a 3 weight at DK. Also a triangle shawl. It's kind of a corner to corner type thing, the way you work it. And this I love because it makes me feel warm and cozy. And I want to make another one in a different colorway for my mom because I think she would love it. Very easy pattern to do, and it turned out very nice. I'm very happy with it. So now the next thing I'm working on in terms of crochet is again, free pattern found off of Crochet Crowd. It's a Yarnspirations pattern. It's called the Crochet Hexagon Afghan. And I'll show you a picture of the concept from Yarnspirations. There it is. And it's the basis for it is these hexagons. And they're very easy. Once you've done a few, I can do them in each one in less than half an hour. It takes very little concentration now that I know what I'm doing. It is made in 5 rounds. Each round is different, but nevertheless, once you've done a few, it's not difficult to remember how to do them. I want to do this in 3 colors. I am using Red Heart Super Saver just because it's what I had. And it's in worsted because I want it, this is going to be a blanket. I want it to be on our bed. I want it to be warmish, especially with all these holes in it. So I'm using this is claret. It's like a wine, of course. There's the front, there's the back. And this is charcoal. And I don't have it, but I want like a cream to go with it. And then I'm going to do kind of a randomized, I don't want it to be color A, color B, color C, color A, color B, color C. I want to do kind of a randomized look where there are like sections and maybe it looks random but also looks nice of the 3 colors of the charcoal and the claret and also cream. And I figured out I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these done. And I figured out I need 31, 32, and 32. I need 95 total of these. So that represents quite a bit of work, but I want this on my bed. And it's gonna be beautiful. And that is what I'm working on. And the nice thing about these is if I just have a little time and maybe I don't want something very stressful to do and I don't want to count and I don't want to really think, I can just make another one of these until I have 95 of them, and then I can put them together and then we'll have a blanket on our bed. So anyway, that is it for me today. I do hope to come come back to you guys soon. I've missed being here. I've appreciated everybody who's continued to do FlossTube videos, and I will try. I'm not really promising, but I will at least come back within a couple of weeks. If I think there's going to be a long delay again, I will at least come back and do my drawing, even if it's just a short video about the drawing. I will come back and do that within the next couple of weeks. So I hope everybody takes care of themselves. Please wear masks. Please stay home when you can. Please be smart, and please look after yourself and others. And you know, let's be kind to each other. And I love you, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.